and welcome to another edition of the Big Knick Energy Podcast. First, check out our sponsors, Empire Original Designs at jointheempire.com, the East Coast's #1 challenge coin manufacturer, the home of challenge coins, lapels, pins, patches, keychains, bottle openers, and more. Mention our podcast, Big Knick Energy, via email for 5% off purchases. Once again, that's at jointheempire.com. I'm your host, Joe Yoke, the bald kid wonder. There is no mastermind this week. Angelo is working and marketing his bald life away. Our very special guest, though, a man who resides in every Knicks fan's least favorite borough, who grew up in Atlanta and cheers for the Atlanta Hawks, but lives in Brooklyn, and he cheers for Trae Young's terrible haircut, and he's somehow turned a film degree into a passion and career of pro wrestling. The Asinine assassin, Adam Bailey. How you doing, buddy?
Well, I'm doing fantastic after that super professional intro, might I say. You guys run a tight ship. I mean, we got the ad leading in. I mean, that's real stuff. So I know that I'm in capable hands here.
We try our best at the very least. I mean, our best probably isn't that good enough, honestly, but we try.
Well, I mean, you're a Knicks podcast, so I mean, that's on the brand. I'm sorry. Am I getting it going too soon?
No, okay. You're good. I mean, dude, you have the ATL jersey on. You guys are playing the 76ers. We're not. I hope you are a Atlanta Braves fan, just because I purposely wore "Let's fucking go Mets" as a shirt just to say I won something.
Sure. I'm a baseball casualist.
As most are.
Yeah, I believe that 162 games for any sport is just way too long. I have stuff to do. I have a life to live. I have Hawks games to watch. So yeah, I can't. I mean, look, postseason baseball, there's nothing like it. And I'll keep pitching that to my girlfriend until she finally believes me. But as it looks now, it might not be no postseason to watch for Atlanta. But hey, I think honestly, all of the Atlanta/Georgia sports karma that has gone down in the last few years seems to, and I don't have any wood to knock on, but it seems to have been culminating here in this run. Because what I will say, we could lose out from here on out, but we've never had a playoff run quite like this. A 4-5 matchup that we wrap up in 5 games and win the game in game 5 on the road. That is very
rare. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't do that. We're used to, okay, that's going to go out to 7 games. Even the year we were #1 and we played the lowly 8 seed, like the old Brooklyn Nets, the remnants of, the Darren Williams squad.
Yeah.
It took us 6 games to clean that up as a #1 seed. So even when it's good, it's only so good. And, that was the year
you guys might have been one of the worst #1 seeds of all time, though. Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver, Al Horford, Paul Millsap. It's like, those are all guys that, like, they're good, not great. It was actually like the culmination of like the sum is better than the parts kind of thing that really got you guys to the #1 seed.
Absolutely. And, we were a great system and Coach Bud, I think that was kind of the apex from what we've seen thus far of his coaching career, mayhaps. That team just wasn't rooted by a superstar. And that was the dig on them, when it gets to be crunch time and you need a bucket and you need a go-to thing, you need a go-to play. Who gets the ball? And I think that's been I know
Josh Smith thought it was him, but it was never Josh Smith.
Never ever.
Back in the day, Joey and I, we used to do fantasy drafts in NBA 2K.
Okay.
And because of that team, we loved Jeff Teague. You remember, Joe? We loved Jeff Teague for a period of time.
For some reason. It was the weirdest affirmation I had.
2K likes him. I mean, I've played in a few iterations of Hawks teams, when they're good. Obviously, I have the 2K16 when we were the #1 seed, and yeah, they like Teague in that year. I mean, he's. I mean, that was probably the apex of his career in a lot of ways. But
yeah,
that's all bygone, especially the Josh Smith era. But that you see the difference now, and the difference in that first round series, and then going and stealing game 1, almost Atlanta. Almost
blew it. You guys were up 25 at one point and you were up 17 with 7 minutes left. That was close.
Oh yeah. And look, I can show you the time-stamped text messages between me and Hawks friends going like, I don't feel good. This is, what I literally predicted is a 5-point game with 3 minutes. I think I was 2 points off and 1 minute off. So
yeah,
I know my team, but yeah, the fact that we secured the win in a second round series against the #1 seed, like we don't do that. Like when we surprised, that #1 seed Boston Celtics team in 2008, took them to 7 games as an 8 seed. All we did was win the home games. So
yeah,
these type of things that you're seeing from this team is kind of like,
where do you
okay.
think, because most people call Trae Young, who is your best player by far, they call him like soft from other markets, but like to actually go into like road territory consistently and be able to pull out W's when people don't expect you to, what do you contribute that to overall? Is it like Young? Is it like McMillan's system? Is it like Bogdanovich is actually way more clutch than we thought?
I mean, it's a whole confluence of things. I mean, I think the Hawks fast-tracked their rebuild by signing Bogdanovich, by signing Gallo. The Clint Capella trade was a very, very sneaky trade. Thank you, Houston. We gave up nothing for that.
Houston gave up nothing for a lot of their players. They got a bag of peanuts for James Harden, for God's sake.
Yeah, I cannot attest, but yeah, I think it's a confluence of we fast tracked getting the supporting cast in place so that we have a system that we can work around. Bogdanovich has obviously come on huge. But yeah, Nate McMillan has obviously been a concerted difference. We literally, I mean, as soon as we made the coaching switch, that's when we had like a comeback from behind victory against, I think, like Orlando, and then we had a one-on-one I think with the Wizards, I believe. I forget who it was, but we lost that last game with Lloyd Pierce, fired him, put Nate McMillan in, and then beat the team 24 hours later, and then had like a 17-point comeback from behind victory on the road against Orlando. It just instantly happened, and you saw Trae playing a different way, less forced.
Uh-oh. Frozen solid, less forced. This is actually entertaining. Adam, I don't know if you could hear us still, but the pictures that you've frozen on multiple times are so funny. Hopefully this comes back in a second, though.
Yeah, we'll edit it. Don't worry. We'll clip through that.
There we go. We're back. You're back. You're back.
You're back. We had internet trouble. We'll clip it.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw you freeze frame. Did you know where I got cut off?
So you said the overall thing was less forced.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's since Nate McMillan's come on, you see way less forced threes by Trae, especially early in the clock, and if we're down, he's gotten rid of like, I'm going to get 9 points on this possession. If I just sink this quick three, it's a lot more steady. You see him it's a lot more dribble drive penetrate, whether it's the pick and roll or whether he's just taking his man. And he finds his threes with more rhythm, whether he's taking a guy off the dribble or he can get more of a rare catch and shoot opportunity. Because as you see, like he rarely gets a catch and shoot three. It's kind of remarkable he shoots as well as he does from three, because it's always a step back. It's always off a dribble move or quick pull up or logo thing. He's very rarely getting a ball off a rotation and shooting it. So I think
he only shoots 35% from three, but like you said, he doesn't take a lot of catch and shoots, which that 35% is way more impressive overall.
Right. Yeah. Like only 35%, but you consider the threes that he gets, they're all created by him for the most part. He's not like catching corner threes like Bogey or Tony Snell, who's very much benefited from being able to park and just wait for the ball to come to him. Yeah, he's shooting 35% from like a lot of 30+ foot 3-pointers and a lot of off the dribble step backs.
Yeah. I would honestly say that the only other person on our team that actually shoots as well as Trae is probably Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter has like 35-foot range, which I did not know before watching him play.
Mr. New York basketball, don't sleep on the red velvet.
Yeah.
Okay? He's smooth as silky red ginger. But I think he's a not just a great shooter. I think he's an underrated, shall I say, overall scorer. I think his ability to put the ball on the court and actually get to the basket and take shots off the dribble is very underrated. And I think with him, it's a confidence thing. I think once he kind of gets a little more Mamba in his head, kind of like what we see Trae doing, leaning into, okay, I'm the villain. Okay, F Trae Young. I don't know if we can curse on this.
You can swear on this. We're good.
All right, yeah, like fuck Trae Young and spitting on him and stuff. I think that, and you kind of asked earlier, like what are we seeing in Trae Young? I think he's been maligned his whole career. I think he's just an easy target. Yeah, the hair and his size and wearing shorts.
The foul baiting.
Sure, I mean, that's an easy.
I think it does get overrated from other fan bases. Like as Knicks fans, Knicks Twitter is like two things. One, we think that we actually look way better now than we did before because you guys actually beat the Sixers the first game, and like, oh shit, the Sixers have a great defense too, and they couldn't stop you guys, and they did it way worse on defense than we did. And then two is that Trae Young like feeds into the heel mindset, since you are a wrestler. Obviously, being a heel is a major part of it. which usually doesn't happen for smaller dudes. I do find that really interesting.
Yeah, and it makes him an easy target. Like I said, he's kind of undersized. You think, what's this guy gonna do? We're not afraid of this guy. What is he gonna float us to death?
I've also been saying to everyone, listen, if we had a guy who foul baited, we would not complain. Like, I don't want to turn this into an anti-Knick podcast. Still fuck Trae Young forever and ever and ever and ever. But if we had a player doing that move, I would also probably hush him too.
There's a thing. So Trae Young, because he is super small, it's like not quite all foul baiting. Like he actually gets fouled. He also weighs 170 pounds soaking wet. Like he's gonna bump a little farther than like Julius Randle or RJ Barrett, who are both stronger for their positions. And the two guys that handle the ball for us the most, they're not gonna flail as much, and also they don't get bumped as hard, so it's harder to call the foul.
Well, I said this to some of my Knicks friends in my gym that I train out, and I'll say it to you guys. I don't blame you guys for thinking this way. It's been a while since you've seen a point guard who can like shoot the ball. It's been a while since some John Starks, so I understand.
Hey, we had Stephon Marbury for a little bit.
Yes. Georgia Tech's finest.
Raymond Felton not doing anything for you?
Hey, I don't think he did anything for you.
Wait, come on, Jeremy Lin, bro.
Insanity. Yeah, that was the last time that New York saw shooting from a point guard position, and that was about 5.5 days. So
only 32%. It wasn't shooting.
5.5 days. I remember there was some stat. It was like the last time Jason Kidd made 3-point, and it was like Barack Obama got sworn into presidency, like some crazy shit.
That's amazing. But well, listen, the real thing about it is Trae can pull up from 35 and drill it. Like you have to pick him up from half court. It's what I call the gravity well, and that is what James Harden is, and that's how he is able to draw fouls, because you have to mark him as soon as he comes across half court. So now if I've got you from a foot away, you're tethered to me that close. I've got all this room to work with. I can just blow by you with my speed, stop on a dime, and you can't stop. You run into me. It's not a foul, because you've had to mark me so far from the basket, where you don't have to do for, Raymond Felton or like you don't have to do that for a lot of these point guards, Ben Simmons, who you barely have to guard at all 10 feet from the basket. Like, so he's not going to draw fouls, because you know what he's going to do. Trae, you have to watch out for that 35-foot pull-up three. You have to watch out for him blowing by you, drawing your center in the lob. You have to watch out for him just doing a floater. And so you as the defender have to be so tethered to him.
Uh-oh. Tethered to him. We got to freeze over again.
You got to keep going through these. Just talking.
If he's the one talking, what am I supposed to do?
Shooter, he really is.
Oh, there we go. Oh, sick. Came back.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, like just saying, like it's all set up by what a prolific shooter he is. Like you have to draws the defender so tight, so far from the basket. It's just too easy at that point, because he's so quick and has so many physical gifts. I mean, that's what you don't really think looking at the guy, because he's so undersized, but he's fast. He really does.
He is really quick.
Yeah. So.
Were you concerned at all that the Knicks were going to potentially like throw Frank Ntilikina at any point? Has Ntilikina actually had success in Trae in the past, or is that just something us as Knicks fans always overblow? Because Ntilikina is our best on-ball defender. We just didn't play
him. I was not thinking about Frank Ntilikina coming into this.
I figured that. I just want to make sure that other Knicks fans.
Adam, I got a question for you, Adam.
I even asked one of the guys at the gym. I was like, "You still got that Ntilikina boy, right?" I really
Frankie smokes. Adam, I got a question for you.
Yes.
If the Knicks were to win, if you had thought the Knicks were going to win, who did you think was going to be the issue? What do you think? What did you think would have happened if that was the situation?
Julius Randle, come on, he dropped 40 on us all 3 games. I mean,
he averaged 37, 10, and 7, and then scored a third of that.
Yeah, I thought he was going to come out with that Mamba mentality, instilled by Kobe in his Laker years. Yeah, I thought he was going to be the problem. He was enough of a problem in the 3 regular season games. And, I was saying to aforementioned Knicks buddies, look, as a Hawks fan, I'll tell you, don't put too much stock in that. Like, oh, we won the regular season series. We had beaten those LeBron Cavaliers 3-1 in the regular season series, and that did not factor much in that Eastern Conference Finals. So, and look, that first game was with Lloyd Pierce. Throw that right away, just like that lighter. Second game, I think we
both games were with Lloyd Pierce. The first 2 were.
Okay, yeah. So throw them right away. Obviously, we're a completely different team. And then that third game in the Garden, John Collins' first game back from injury, and Trae goes down with the rolled ankle, in the third quarter, like right in crunch time. And I'll tell you what, I was very happy for the Knicks season up until that game. I had no problem with the Knicks. I had no quarrel. I was like, have at it, boys. You're ahead of schedule. That's awesome. But man, that game is what pissed me off when the Garden crowd started singing "na na na na" while he's holding his ankle. Hey, and they rushed to put some music on in the Garden. I was like,
I think that's when
Adam,
that's when we became enemies of each other's teams. Was
Yeah,
that
I think so.
moment?
And then your fans, celebrating outside the Garden like you won a fucking banner. I was like, all right, you got the Assassin's target on your back. It's over. We're in a feud now. So it was perfect when we drew you guys to the playoffs. I think that game really did set the stage of like this can be no other way. Like,
What was the Hawks talk about Derrick Rose? What was the conversation? Because we are so unattached from most things but Knicks Twitter, so we know what they say in our groups. Like, what's the talk of Derrick Rose in Atlanta?
Were they
Hawks
worried
fandom?
at all basically after the first game?
Or were they impressed? Anything?
I mean, we were very impressed, and it's all respect because he's a Hawk killer from back in the day, when he was rocking #1 in Chicago. So, we have the ghost of, Derrick Rose knees in our brain, but I'm not so plugged into Hawks Twitter sphere, so to speak, but I have, scuttlebutt with my dad and my friends that I text and this and that, and I can tell you my personal opinion was like, that has to run out at some point. Derrick Rose is great. And it's great what he's done. And it's a great story that he
can't play 40 minutes a game.
Yeah. And then, I was even saying this to some of your fans in the Garden at Game 5. I was like, not even talking shit. I thought they would put him back on the bench because those games were closer. Because with Rose and Randle playing those opening minutes, who's coming in off the bench to really anchor, and I mean anchor that second unit.
Yeah.
I thought Thibodeau, at least back at the Garden, would have gone back to Rose on the bench for kind of the balance of game because it just didn't work in Atlanta. For that very reason. Yes.
To work off what you were saying, because you were at Game 5, obviously it's where we met you originally. Were you like scared walking out of Game 5? Was anyone harassing you as a Hawks fan in the Hawks jersey or anything crazy?
I was harassing everybody else. I was doing the harassing.
It's true.
Yeah.
True.
You were about to win.
We were right there, bro. He had no fear.
Yeah, it was the Knicks fans that just were like, all right, can we get the hell out of here?
God.
No fear. I mean, listen, my family's from New Jersey, and I've visited Brooklyn as a child so many times, and planted the seed to come visit or come live there later on, and I'm very comfortable in New York. I mean, I really have a Yankee family, so that's why we're boisterous and just kind of loud and get on people's nerves for no reason. But yeah, like I was telling, because my girlfriend was there with me at the Blue Eyed Bombshell for all you Instagram hounds.
Shameless plug. I love it.
Absolutely. All day, every day, baby. You gotta keep it asinine. But yeah, like I told her, I was like, look, you're going to see one of the best atmospheres for a sporting event, period, much less a basketball game. Like, you're in for a treat, like, and they're going to be amped, and it's an elimination game. So you're going to see the best from them and, the worst. But I was never really nervous. I've attended, sporting events like, those Nets games plenty. I've been to the Garden.
There's no hostility at Nets games. That's for sure. No one cares.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no one cares. But I was actually at Trae Young's very first professional basketball game, which was at Madison Square Garden. Me and my roommate went, and I think people were just more surprised to see someone in a Hawks jersey. I get little heckles about that because we did not play well, and I think you guys ran off to an easy win. But
how many Hawks fans do you actually know that live in Brooklyn or around you?
Not a lot. There's not a lot.
Yeah.
In Brooklyn, no, there's not a lot. And yeah, that night at the Garden, it was a handful of Hawks jerseys that I even saw, much less people that I was like, hey, what's up, go Hawks? Like, much that I even could clock from like anywhere from our section. Like, yeah, it was all Knicks fans, and I'd expect no less. I'd want no less. But
you're in enemy territory. You're in enemy territory for a reason.
Absolutely. I love it, baby. I was working heel. Listen, me pissing off a room full of people. That's my whole, that's my element. So
Adam, you did it with grace out there. You did it with grace. Everything you did was proper. You didn't cross any lines. And I think that's what kept Knicks fans from crossing any lines with you guys. And it was a beautiful sight to see these two fandoms literally colliding in such like the nuke of our season,
Totally.
Just
it
being
was the
there
nuke. It did end the season.
Well, I'm or run that again. I don't want to be, belligerent. I'm definitely not trying to go in, but fuck the Knicks, fuck the God, and fuck Randall. I think it's uncouth to chant "fuck you" at a player. Just saying. But
Good
yeah, I
luck
wasn't
telling
trying
any
to
New
be.
Yorker that ever, dude. It'll never not happen.
Yeah, but yeah, I wasn't being an idiot. I was just, I was trying to be smart with my chants. It's quiet as fucking here, and Capella gets a dunk, and I stand up and go, "What are you gonna do about it?" Like smart heckling that I
Yeah, we didn't get to
know.
ask you so I assume you were doing the same thing outside as you were inside. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see that. How was the fans around you reacting? Because I've been on the opposite side before.
Sure.
So how was
What?
that for you?
It was, it was fine. I loved it. I lapped it up. I mean, we got there early. We got there like about an hour before tip off. And so, we were kind of already there
Yeah.
as all, the Knicks fans are following it. So you kind of get to honestly meet everybody one-on-one. Oh, what do we got? Who is it? And then you start chatting and, I live in Bushwick, been here about 7 years. And, then you get to know someone to that little bit. And so it's not as hostile. And yeah, like I know how to like say enough funny things or, act, in ridiculous enough ways. Like someone started heckling my hair, like that long hair. And I just started, whipping my fingers through it. And the person laughed because, yeah, what are you going to do? They're like, okay, that's actually good.
When
Yeah.
you work
So, like,
when you work with the heckle, people enjoy it way more versus when you go
Yeah.
against them.
I was gonna say they probably thought they were talking to some white guy from Atlanta. Turns out they're dealing with the fucking asinine assassin from Gleason's.
Adam, I do want to ask you to work off the wrestling thing. One, how long have you been doing wrestling? And then two, just how much does that persona help you, both inside the ring, obviously, and then outside in situations like this?
one feeds the other, I think any good quote persona that connects to the fans is just you turned up to whatever degree it's called upon whatever you've got going on already. So yeah, me being a boisterous, crazy ass fan, that was already years solidified.
Yeah.
From various situations. So that more comes out, as the wrestling persona.
Right.
But yeah, I've been doing it about 4 years now. Kind of lost, half a year to a year to the pandemic within that. But yeah, I've been training at Gleason's gym in Dumbo, in old Brooklyn, New York.
Nice.
And it's
Legendary gym. Didn't
yeah,
Hilary
yeah.
Swank train there for her movie and stuff? I'm sure many more have, but this is just the most recent one I've heard.
Yeah. I mean that's a big one. I mean, yeah, there's always something filming in there, but yeah, that movie was definitely one of the more popular ones. But yeah, it's like a famous boxing gym, and they've got about 3 or 4 boxing rings in there, but in the back they've got a wrestling ring. And
Nice.
the teacher, the instructor, I call him Sensei, is a man by the name of Johnny Rodz, and he's a WWE Hall of Famer.
Oh, I do know Johnny Rodz. Yeah, I've heard of Johnny Rodz before. Awesome.
Excellent.
Is there a difference between wrestling ring
awesome.
and a boxing ring? Are they the same size?
Absolutely. Some of them are the same size. Ours is an 18 by 18 ring. But yeah, there's definitely some differences just in terms of, the metal and the wood underneath and like usually there's like at least like a wrestling tarp, like an actual like amateur wrestling tarp that's goes on top of the sheet wood, that like a boxing ring wouldn't necessarily have because they're not, taking bumps.
They're not jumping off the top rope.
Yeah, no, not necessarily. So I think that's a point penalty if you try that in boxing. But yeah, so yeah, it's a little bit different in the construction. There's some subtle differences.
Cool. Yeah, I never knew. Yeah. I've watched wrestling a lot of my life, and I never knew if there was a difference or not. So I figured I'd ask you.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into wrestling in the first place?
Interested in it as just a person. Kind of similar stories. A lot of people. My dad was into it, so we're watching a lot of those old WCW, WWF Monday Night Wars. That was, I was 12 when all that was going on. So perfect age for like kind of what is known as now as the golden age, I think, or the new golden age of wrestling with that Monday Night Wars thing going on. So that's what, captured my imagination. Kid from Atlanta, Goldberg was the thing. This former Georgia Bulldog, Atlanta Falcon, is winning the title and killing Hulk Hogan. Like, yeah, I'm in. You got me.
All within 90 seconds. Just every
yeah,
match.
right, exactly. quick squashes. But yeah, captured my imagination, absolutely. But you know, and you stop watching when you get to college or whatever. But I kind of came back to it as an adult, and I kind of had an angle, you know, from the film side of things, of floor directing or even being a writer like on a writing squad.
Right.
But and that's still, you know, something that I would love to do. But you know, I kind of heard about Gleason's and Johnny on a podcast from some WWE alum that were there at the time, and you know, just kind of made it and it made it very suddenly tangible of like, wow, that's right down the road. Like, you know, I could do it. I could go and do it. So it kind of stayed with me for a while, and then yeah, just kind of put it into action, and kind of haven't really looked back since.
Adam, so in music, they say, I'm a musician, so I've heard the quote,
Okay.
You sound like your failed attempt at sounding like your idol, right? Is there anybody in wrestling that you tried to be like growing up when you first started and turned out that a piece of you is them mixed with yourself?
I'm gonna blow my nose for answer that question. So you have a cutting point.
Yeah, that's the one that clip right there. If you're blowing your nose is what's going on mine. Yeah.
The good stuff.
Yeah, right in there, baby.
Let's go.
Get that nose candy. That good old gold
that
there.
Sweet Arizona nose candy, baby. I would say who got me back into wrestling as an adult was CM Punk. Just his mic style and his ring style, and the way he, I think, maximized every second of TV time really, you know, once again captured my imagination. But as an adult, you know, as someone who knew somewhat of how it worked and could respect it from that angle, CM Punk, I think, was a guy who I very much locked into as a, you know, reawakened fan, and definitely someone that I emulate now that I'm like, you know, doing it. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple like Edge. Edge is probably another one, just in terms of, you know, kind of similar physical attributes and how I size up with other guys in the gym and whatnot. So kind of like moveset wise, and yeah, obviously a guy who was a very capable performer and just you really believed what he did.
Yes.
And probably, although I will say probably like subconscious biting and what really planted seeds, you know, as a young kid, and that I don't even know I emulate. It's probably WCW Chris Jericho, like, you know, cruiserweight Chris Jericho, who is just truly acting a fool, getting lost backstage, you know, doing like the Spinal Tap stuff and the Man of 1,004 holds with his printer paper, like that type of stuff. I think has really stuck, and I do it in the ring without even realizing, you know, kind of the more jackassery, so to speak, angle of things. But yeah, kind of that's like a trio of people that, yeah, with whether consciously or subconsciously, the Asinine Assassin is kind of an amalgamation of.
So you don't take anything from Orange Cassidy?
I mean, I wouldn't. That's so hot and so right now that, you know, I wouldn't want to be outright plagiarizing.
I thought you might have been more of a Gold Dust guy myself.
I mean, who isn't? I think.
Who was the guy who put his ass in your face? Rashiki?
Yeah. Rikishi. Adam, before we got off the wrestling, last thing I wanted to ask you was, what's your finisher?
I call it the headshot. It's kind of I basically put my foot. I can bring Sam out here, and she could probably take it. I've got her basically as a wrestler for the most part. She's got a pretty good working punch, I gotta say. That's our party trick, by the way, is you know, we'll just be hanging out and she hauls off and punches me, and I sell it real big, and people are like, oh my god, what is that?
Every part of me hopes that's true.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, big time. Yeah, she can throw a kick, you know, she can throw a punch, yeah, and she can sell if need be. Actually, there was one time where we're walking down the sidewalk, right about to go to my into my apartment, and I grab her, you know, by the back of the head, because there was like a porta potty. There's construction going on right outside our door.
Right.
So there's a porta potty, and I'm like, well, I'm 12, so I'm gonna do this, and I grab her by the back of the head, and she knows what to do, and she slams right into the side of it, but I'm, you know, looking like I bashed her head into the side. These two chicks who were down the sidewalk come running down at us, and then when Sam turns around, we're both laughing. They kind of just stop. And they didn't say anything, they just no sold. They just kept walking past us as if like they weren't running in to intervene, you know, a
You just gotta fucking Stokely stunner her right when they come running up. Pow!
Turn around, the two of them. What are you gonna do about it?
Oh, we're not advertising domestic violence, but that is funny when you're acting.
Work, huh?
It's a show.
Yeah, it's a work. Exactly.
It's work.
Adam, to get back to the basketball stuff before we become a big wrestling energy. How do you feel after watching? So you guys have game 2 tonight. This is probably going to come out after game 2 happens, but how did you feel from game 1? Obviously, you guys dominated the first half. You were up 20 at one point, 25 even. Second half, there was a bunch of runs. You guys almost landed it at the end, almost collapsed. Trae Young dominated the first half, 25-7. The second half, though, he was like more or less shut down because of Ben Simmons being on him and also getting away with. Ben Simmons was getting away with some stuff. I'm not gonna lie, obviously. It's not like I didn't watch the game. But what are your concerns from game 1, and what are you glad you took away from it?
Well, hey, Atlanta has a 25-point lead. What could go wrong? So listen, there's not a Hawks fan that was watching that game or anybody who's halfway an Atlanta fan that wasn't going, I'm not comfortable with this. This isn't this, you know, like we need to see 0-0.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody who was watching that first half was excited, was exhilarated, but knew that like, okay, all this does is set the stage for something awful. And
the epic collapse waiting to happen.
Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't think we were going to run off with that game by 20 points. I knew they were going to make a run. I knew their crowd was going to energize them to do something. How very close it got, how just ridiculously close it got. You know, that last steal where, I don't know, they tackled, you know, our boy and then, you know, got a free layup out of it. Like, hello, like,
yeah.
I'm not one to be like, the refs need to help us out, but yeah, you can't let a team do that. You can't let them come as close. I think that all but concedes game 2, if you want my honest opinion. You know, kind of. But I mean, if we split the series, split the 2 games at Philly, that's a win for us.
That means you won home court back. So
absolutely, and obviously, you know, we're a different team even at home. But
as Knicks fans are aware.
What can I say? It's that fried chicken, baby. We love it. But yeah, like if they want to put Ben Simmons on Trae all game, great. People kind of forget he picked up 2 quick fouls at the start of the second half. So, you know, if he wants to have 2 fouls before the first quarter and then they're going to have to sit him, that's the risk they're going to run. I forget the name of their other good defender who's supposed to.
Thibault.
Yes. You know, he's not a shooter. So what are you going to have 2?
Which helps the whole Trae Young hide on a non-shooter thing again that the Knicks had to suffer through the whole first series.
Yep, we can hide him on defense more easily, and yeah, like, so that's going to ruin the spacing for Joel Embiid if he doesn't have shooters around him. We can just collapse to him and mark him. Just kind of we did Julius Randle. I honestly think the defensive strategy is kind of cut and paste from that first series. I mean, I think
Embiid is bigger and more explosive than Randle, though. While Randle will spin to the middle and then kind of take a fadeaway, Embiid can still spin and dunk on you. It is a little bit different.
Yeah, more powerful, more of an inside game, but Randle has more of an outside game. I mean, Embiid is nowhere near a 3 ball as Randle does. So he presents problems, but I think what Nate McMillan kind of got down to a formula is stop Randle, stop the Knicks. And I think it's the same thing with Philly. Stop Embiid, stop the Sixers. Obviously, it's a little more complicated because Embiid is, I think, that notch, more of a player.
And the Sixers as a whole do have a better team anyway. They have Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, all those Danny Green's shooters and stuff like that. So
yeah, they have that much better shooting, and that's why they're in the position that they're at. So yeah, but I think by and large, if you can keep Embiid from getting his 30, that's going to stop the Sixers. Because I honestly think you almost just let Ben Simmons have his 14-point triple double and just kind of let him do what he does. But if
and then let him go 1 for 8 from the foul line.
Exactly. Yeah. Hack a Simmons. So I think if you can keep Embiid from having his monster games, similar to the Knicks, we just had to keep Randle from getting his 40, and that simplified the equation because Alec Burke is not going to go crazy for 4 games in a row. So
we were hoping though. We were all punch drunk after game one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
sure. I mean, it looked like it was going to be a 7-game knockout, drag out, classic series. It looked like it was going to be, an epic.
Thing I keep telling Knicks fans is like, we weren't supposed to be there in the first place. We had a prediction of 21 wins. Be happy we were there. I was totally satisfied being there. Losing the playoffs, just as a Knicks fan, because we have money and we have draft picks and we have a lot of pieces to work with. To
work off that point, actually, Adam, I have a question for you that reminded me. Obviously, Tom Thibodeau just won Coach of the Year. Nate McMillan was one of the dudes that were listed in the top 5. I think he finished 3rd or 4th. You guys are in the playoffs somewhere or not, so I would obviously trade places with you. But do you care at all that Nate McMillan finished so low, especially after what Lloyd Pierce did in the beginning, or do you guys give a crap at all?
I think it'll help us when it comes to negotiating that he didn't get so many first place or top 3 votes. No, I mean, I don't really care. I think honestly, the fact that he was even in the running, finished 5th, got, the 3rd place votes, I think that's a testament to what he did. I mean, he only coached 40 some odd games and he's, in that conversation. I think it's kind of like an MVP candidacy thing. It's like, yeah, that guy played really well, but his resume isn't long enough, so to speak, against someone who's been like Joker. He's just been healthy and consistent all season. So you can't give the MVP to a guy like, Dame or something like that because, or Steph Curry, rather, I think is what I was looking for, because that run just wasn't as long as Joker did. So it's kind of same thing for Coach of the Year. It's like what you did over the whole season gets put over what a guy did half a season. But personally, I think the real snub was Monty Williams. I do not know how the Suns go from barely cracking the bubble last season to number 1 overall in the West.
I have the easy answer for you with that. It's called the CP3 effect, and people overestimate, whether it's overestimated or properly estimated. CP3 is seen as like the point god, obviously. Everywhere he goes he's a player coach. Exactly. So it's like Monty Williams didn't make them get the extra 20 wins. It's like CP3 did, which take it for what it's worth. But they were also projected to get
Joe, I got to disagree with you on that, man. You got
what?
One CP3 of the court. Coach has a lot more, it's not 5 CP3s on the court.
You can look up, dude. It's like look up the effects of every single team he's gone to from the previous team.
No, I get it, but you got
the amount of wins go up. Also from the whole 20, they were projected 22 wins and they got 41. The Suns were projected 38 wins and got 50. They didn't improve as much overall based on where they were projected to be.
I think the only reason Tibbs got this is because we weren't projected to do well. I think the Suns were projected to do well, and that's why they didn't get it, honestly. And it was down to those two, and I think that's how they weighed that,
Yeah, agreed.
Sure. And it's not to say Thibodeau doesn't deserve it. I mean, obviously what he did, it's just how do you judge it? How much stock do you put into what the preview was, or what the over under of number of wins was set at? How much stock do you really put into that versus what the team does? I think you got to look at what they did last year. You know what I mean? In context of what new personnel,
with almost the same exact players, the Knicks were trash with the same team.
Exactly. So, I think it is a testament to what he was able to do. I mean, clearly he made kind of, equal to the sum of the parts, so to speak. He made it greater than the sum of the parts in New York. And so that definitely deserves credit. Should he have gotten Coach of the Year over a guy like Monty Williams? I don't know. CP3, effect notwithstanding. I think that's kind of the most remarkable story of this season, and even down to CP3 of wow, this guy, it was looking like he should retire. He's going to Oklahoma City, and he's an afterthought, and maybe it was his fault that James Harden wasn't happy in Houston. Blah 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 blah. That's a career resurgence in and of itself. That
and now this dude's going to look. He actually just opted out. He's going to look for another $100-something million deal for 3 more years. He's old enough to retire. The players union president really at it,
Joe, I got a question for you.
State Farm is there, baby.
Joe,
exactly.
Joe, so in the same conversation, right? Let's say you say Chris Paul is responsible for the Suns' success, right? Let's not put much on the coach. Let's give a lot to Chris Paul.
I'm not going to do the whole thing, but yeah, a bit of it for sure.
Then you could say, okay, the Knicks almost had the same roster as last year, but they pulled Derrick Rose on board, and Derrick Rose really was the difference maker for this team going into
And
like
his
the second half
connection
of
with
the season.
Thibodeau too is
So do you credit Thibodeau for having that relationship and giving that as a coach's credit, or do you give Derrick Rose credit for being that missing piece to get the Knicks into the
I
playoffs?
actually would give more of it I think it's twofold. I think they both deserve credit in different ways. I think Thibodeau has gotten more, and it's factual. You can look up his plus minus numbers. Same with Taj Gibson, the amount that they both did with Derek or with Tom Thibodeau versus without Tom Thibodeau in their careers. Derrick Rose and Taj Gibson both have overachieved with Tom Thibodeau as their coach. Like the three of them, like they both work towards we got to bust our ass the hardest we can every single night within this finite amount of space and time. Versus Derrick Rose is on Minnesota without him. He was on the Knicks without him. We all know how the first thing he went MIA during part of it. Like Derrick Rose without Tom Thibodeau was on the downswing of his career. People didn't know he had any explosiveness yet. No one saw a 30-point game in the playoffs at all with this dude. Taj Gibson almost should have retired. He basically did retire last year, and Tibbs begged him to come back. And because they all meshed together well within the system and the psyche and the mindset of trying hard on defense, treating every regular season game like it's a game 7 postseason game, I think I actually attribute that to Tibbs more, where I give Derrick Rose a lot of credit. And it's kind of the same thing that James Harden did, just in a much lesser sense. Suck until you're not where you don't want to be anymore. If you just bail out on your team and you act trash and you just don't care as much, Derrick Rose did not want to be on the Pistons at all in the slightest. Don't try that hard. You'll get traded sooner or later. You'll get to go where you want to go. And that's what he did. So I give him credit for that, for taking advantage of the very pro players time that we live in right now.
I think the synergy between Thibodeau and Rose.
Great word. I wanted to say that.
Yeah, that's like
right.
Jordan and Phil or Kobe and Phil. I feel like those connections are there with Tibbs and Derrick Rose.
Clearly,
for sure.
he gets the best out of Rose, and it's more than Rose was just in his prime in Chicago. Obviously, like clearly, they have something going together, and he seems to inspire Rose in a certain way. Believes in him, and that seemed to be lacking in other places where like Detroit and Minnesota, where it just didn't really seem like they knew what to do with him, or rather, the role wasn't clear.
He tried to be the number one still in those spots a lot, and just like his knees and his body had betrayed him already.
And I think Thibodeau is Thibodeau.
It's
whatever you want.
Tibbs, but it's Thibodeau.
Thibodeau.
You call him whatever you want. Don't call him late for dinner.
Call him TT, baby. You got TTs.
I call him wrapped up in 5, gentlemen.
Don't call.
That hurts. Cut the pod. It's over. It's over.
Call him anything you want. Don't call him out on defense. That's what I was gonna say.
He is out.
Yeah, man.
Adam, do you think that Trae Young has become a player where you go, the coach has nothing to do with this? The way we're talking about.
Is he the next point guard?
No.
Like, is it like whoever comes there?
Well, look, I think we were talking about it earlier. My brow here. We were talking. This is what I was doing second half of game 1. This is what I was doing when they were making their comeback.
Fixing the hair, fixing the makeup.
Fixing the hair, making sure the makeup isn't running. I gotta look good for my Spidey Cuz post game interview.
Yeah, shout Spider Cuz.
That was amazing. It was the most random thing, and I was perfectly drunk enough for.
I love
that
that dude wears Tim's.
I was wondering if you were drunk because most of our team was a little drunk, and it was the perfect mixture.
But yeah, I think Nate McMillan got through to Trae and got him playing the right way, and so maybe he will become that. You know what I mean? He's definitely a student of the game. I mean, his father used to make highlight mixtapes of like each point guard, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, Jason Williams, and was kind of showing him, Gary Payton. And
I was hoping you were going to mention white chocolate. Trae definitely has a lot of white chocolate in his game. You can see it.
A lot of flash and dash. Hopefully he doesn't end up having the same arrest record that white chocolate has, but
ideally not.
Yeah, ideally not. So no, I don't think he's point guard status yet. Maybe he will be. I think maybe now that he has like a proper coach who can show him how to win. Like how to score. Let me help you how to win and how to kind of like what The Last Dance was touching on with MJ. And, Trae was watching that because he was tweeting about it. MJ figured out kind of in that 92 season how to win each game. What was the equation for the W for each game?
Right.
I think Trae's starting to think in those terms rather than I need my 30 and 10 because that's what we need to win. No, there's ways to get to that 30 and 10, but there's ways to do it with a more concerted stratagem behind it. So he could get there, obviously. He's a student of the game, but I think what will create that is having a proper coach in Nate McMillan to kind of show him the way.
So I think I have actually a stat that, Joe, I need your help with. I think that Trae might already be there, in my opinion. And I don't think the coach matters. Joe, what was Nate McMillan's playoff record? We talked about it last week on the pod.
He won one series in his 17-year coaching career. He won one series with the Seattle Supersonics.
So if stats talk, it's not Nate.
Yeah,
I mean, for a lot of
Trae's doing things that no one's ever done in a Hawk uniform. I mean, these like 4 straight 30-point road games. He put up the first 35-point 10-assist game. Like he is doing things that no matter how long you've watched the Hawks, you've never seen before. So I think it's we go back to synergy. Like it was the right meeting. Nate McMillan was the right guy to take a young team that clearly Lloyd Pierce was just not connecting with. You don't have that many comeback losses, with leads in the fourth quarter that we had. You just could see it in the players' faces, in Lloyd Pierce's face when we called timeouts. There was no steadying voice. There was no, okay, guys, this is what we're going to do. Here's the tangible thing that you can play out on the court. There just wasn't there. He didn't seem to be, and I'm not trying to bash the guy. I think he'll be a fine coach somewhere else, but he didn't seem to be either enough of an X's and O's guys or enough of a player inspirer to connect with the guys. And Nate McMillan seems to be both. He seems to know how to talk to these guys, steady them, tell them the right tangible direction. And he's got the right strategy. He got us to be more defensive minded, got us buying in. Hey guys, this is how you win. You have to defend. You can't just hope to outshoot all these teams and outscore all these teams. That will only get you so far.
I feel like the Hawks and the Knicks had very similar stories all year.
Just
like
with different strengths. The Hawks obviously are more.
But like I feel like we were very parallel all year. And
nobody had either team penciled in for the 4-5. Everyone was, Hawks, you might make the playoffs.
They probably said the same thing for you guys as us. Playing game, maybe they'll make the playing game.
Yeah, I mean, you know how it is. No one believes it until they see it in sports, and so especially like two teams like the Hawks and the Knicks and how they've been the last few years. No one's going to go on a line and go, for sure they'll have the same record in the 4-5. Watch, no one's going to say that. And it took some doing. I mean, I fully believed it. I mean, I can timestamp the Instagram comments about watch us. Watch us in this season, like we're going to be a comfortably seeded playoff team. And that was, poppycock half the time. And people don't want to see it. People don't want to accept it and, act like, I mean, and I will say I understand where they're coming from heading into the season. Well, you got Boston, well, you got Philly, well, you got Brooklyn, and you got Milwaukee. There's your 4. Who's going to fall off? Well, we saw it. So, obviously the Knicks and the Hawks took advantage of a couple of teams underperforming, but they showed up and won those games. It was because of elevated play from Julius Randle and Trae Young and Bogey and it working. They won those spots and they earned the right to be there in that playoff series.
Both teams ended the season 17-7. That is earning your keep.
Yeah, both teams won the games they were supposed to win, and they found themselves in the spot they were supposed to be.
Adam, I wanted
everybody was waiting on the Heat and the Celtics, and it just never happened. Go ahead.
The Heat kind of did it, but the Celtics definitely did not. I wanted to ask you, as someone that has that does wrestling and obviously knows chants and stuff like that, what is your favorite pro Hawks chant you've ever heard, and your favorite anti Hawks chant you've ever heard? Whether it's through social media.
Let's go more specific. What was your favorite pro Hawks chant and your favorite anti Trae chant that you heard?
Assuming it's not "fuck Trae Young."
Well, of course it's fuck Trae Young, because he fed off it like sweet manna from the sun. I mean, it empowered him. You saw it. He went Super Saiyan off of that. I mean, it was perfect. So in game 5, when we were there in those early fuck Trae Young chants, part of endearing myself, so to speak, I'm raising the room like, keep going, baby, keep going. He loves it.
I heard someone say Trae Young has baby hair. That was probably my favorite one.
That's a solid one. Listen, I think his hair looks great with the wind of victory flowing through it. So I can't knock it.
I think everyone should
Yeah.
shave their head, honestly.
That's right. Yeah, go the MJ route, baby, get it over. Yeah, I mean, look, I love hearing MVP chants at Trae. You could tell the crowd's a little more convicted than when we chanted at Joe Johnson those years ago.
Yeah.
I love to hear that. I love to just hear an unassisted "Let's go Hawks" from the first possession. Just like we heard in Game 3, like not queued up by the crowd or by the Oregon, Sir Foster, the legend. I love hearing an unabated "Let's go Hawks" from the crowd. That is always my favorite thing.
That is the most classic. You cannot go wrong with that.
Absolutely.
Adam, before we start wrapping up, I wanted to ask you 2 questions, and then are you down to play a drinking game?
Yeah, let's go. I might have to refill, but yeah, I'm down.
It's all good. So the first 2 questions, they're unrelated to the drinking game. What is your prediction for the rest of the Hawks Sixers series?
Well, to quote Charles Barkley last night, I think my Sixers are in trouble. I'm feeling good. Famous last words, so to speak, but clearly Trae is a problem for that team. Like, what are you going to put Simmons on him all 48 minutes? You're going to trap for 48 minutes. We hit 7 of 11 of our 3-point attempts when they started trapping Trae. So that ain't going to work. Like, Collins.
Trapping is never a good move. You don't want 2 guys covering 1 dude. It's basic.
It's the NBA. You cannot press for 48 minutes. This ain't JV high school, baby.
It's not Duke basketball.
Absolutely. So, yeah. Oh, that was a chant the crowd did not like when RJ Barrett was at the line, and I'm going, Cam is better.
Oh wow, yeah, I can imagine that.
No,
Knick fans live and die with RJ Barrett. Knick fans don't want to trade RJ Barrett for Damian Lillard, which is
God
wild.
Bless you. More power to you. He hit a 3, and I'm turning to the fans going, he can do that. He's allowed to. I know. Wow, these eyes have seen. Do you want me to go on the line and say my Hawks are going to win? Because I just feel like I would jinx it if I did that.
Well, what do you actually before? Say you lost Game 1, or say Game 1 didn't happen yet. What did you actually think was going to happen in the series?
I thought we were going to make them competitive with Embiid or no Embiid, because we're finally healthy. We're finally healthy. We had stretches over the regular season where Bogey was out for like 25 games. Gallo was out for 20 games. Yeah. DeAndre Hunter, which was a name I was bringing up most of the season. But like casual fans, they don't know who he is. They don't know that, yeah, he's veritably maybe our second best player when he's cruising. And yeah, like you saw him eat RJ Barrett anytime he got the ball one-on-one. He totally
RJ's still too young to actually handle that, dude. He's just too small and young still.
Sure. And DeAndre has that championship pedigree for willing Virginia to win that title.
Yeah.
So I think we're here to stay. We're here to hang. I think it's going to be, if we have a healthy Embiid and everything, yeah, I think it can be a 6-7 game series. And yeah, I won't be surprised at all if and when the Hawks were to win it. I mean, nothing is over. Obviously, they figured out some sort of a formula to slow us down. And, when we tip here in an hour and a half, that crowd's going to be crazy. I would be very surprised, just like I would have been very surprised in series 1. If against you guys we went up to a 2-0 lead, I would have been incredibly surprised. So
right.
I would be surprised to see it today. I think we'll get their best shot. I think Embiid is going to go to the hole and dominate, for Shaq. And, I think he'll this is the type of game where, look, if you're that guy, you do not let your team lose. Kind of like Kawhi in Game 6.
No shot. Yeah.
You cannot let it happen. And if you do, you're not that guy. So really, this is Embiid's game. To lose or to win. But yeah, I think the Hawks can win. I think we can match this team. I think we do match this team, so to speak.
So to follow up with that, assuming you guys did actually get through somehow, how many games do you actually take from Brooklyn? 1, 2, 0?
I think we can take at least 2.
Listen, I think if in the bizarre chance that the Hawks take Brooklyn, right? In the bizarre chance that the Hawks take the Sixers, because it's bizarre. You got to admit that.
Right. Sure. Oh, it's
right?
not
definitely
like
the underdog. Yeah.
In the bizarre chance they take the Sixers, and in the bizarre chance they take New York or Brooklyn, do you know how hated this man Trae Young becomes? Like doing it twice in New York?
Dude, no one
Yes.
cares about the Nets. Who's gonna hate them?
Listen, it's still, you did it twice in New York, Joe. It's like you had 2 playoff series back in New York, and I don't even want to think about that.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
the
dude,
Northeast tour of
It's
sadness,
like, who do I
gentlemen.
want to win that series more? Neither. I want them all to like tear ACLs and they got to hit the G League. Like, that's what I
then
want.
that's terrible. We don't actually wish anyone to
I'm-
get hurt on
It's
BKE.
obviously a joke. It's come on. I'm with the Asinine assassin. He was just talking about wrestling moves with his fucking girlfriend.
Yeah, it's everyone on the stage. AD actually fucking tears his ACL tomorrow night, and then they're like, "Well, this guy actually called it beforehand. We should probably
Yeah,
contact."
and
him.
then I go to jail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Gotta go to basketball prison,
Internet
dude.
jail.
Exactly.
Kitty on the shelf again.
All right, Adam,
Yeah,
are
I
you
mean,
ready
Let's
for a
get
little
into
drinking
this
game?
quiz with him,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
You guys got
Should-
your
should we-
drinks?
Should we pause and I can re-up a little?
Listen,
take
I'm
this?
gonna be the one. Oh, I showed Joey the answers actually. All right,
You
Joe,
already
you gotta
showed
be the
me.
one.
Yeah, I'm
I was
just
gonna
gonna.
ask both of you. All right,
Well,
go
here
ahead,
I'm just
Joe.
gonna
Run
ask
it.
him the questions, and then let's put this. You
Sure.
can actually we'll pause. We'll pause and let him refill.
All right.
And now it's time for everyone's favorite game show on BKE. It's Drink or Drink. All right, Adam, the rules are really simple. I'm going to ask you 5 Atlanta Hawks-based questions. If you get the answer right, for each one, I drink once. If you get the answer wrong, then you drink. Easy enough.
I like it. I am prepared.
All righty. I hope so. I mean, I didn't know any of these before looking at this, but I'm not a Hawks fan, so there you go.
Fair. That's fair of you.
First question. What were the Atlanta Hawks originally called?
Oh, St. Louis Hawks?
They were the St. Louis Bisons.
Bisons. You know what? That does ring a bell.
One for
I'm
you.
taking one.
Take a sip. There we go. The next question, working off the St. Louis thing. What year did the Hawks move to ATL?
1958?
You were so close. Either you're really close and Vin typed it wrong, or you're off by 10 years. It was 1968.
1960. Yeah, that's right, because we just had our 50th. All right, here we go.
Oh, that makes sense. 2018.
Yeah,
There.
Math is important. You know, too many bumps.
Yeah. The next one I feel like everyone from Atlanta probably knows. I'm pretty sure this dude has owned every single team in Atlanta before. What media mogul bought the Hawks in 1977?
That's big man Ted Turner.
There you go.
The patriarch of WCW himself.
I was gonna say if you get Ted Turner wrong for TBS and Turner Sports and all that crap, I probably would.
Yeah, I'll just pour this drink on my head. I don't deserve to drink it at that point if I didn't know that one.
Or you just down the whole thing and then we record you for 5 minutes afterwards to see what happens.
Just passing out in the pool.
Yeah. Next, hopefully you know this one too. Who is the Hawks' all-time leading scorer?
Dominique, baby.
There we go. Easy enough.
Cheers to you.
Hey, if you want to drink one with me, I'm all for it.
Hey, cheers, baby. I'm never gonna say no to a nice sip of margarita.
Hell yeah. What'd you make the margarita? What's in there?
God, I'm jealous. I'm drinking for everyone Joey's drinking for too. I'm just having a Corona. Find your
system.
beach.
Oh, nice. That's really, baby. More ad revenue if they want to,
Yeah,
hop
Corona,
on
that's good.
BKE, baby.
Also, I'm drinking New Amsterdam Mango. If New Amsterdam wants to pay us any money,
All right.
it's all I
Some
had
good stuff
left.
right there.
What do you got in the margarita though?
It's just the Jose Cuervo premix, pour and go.
Classic. And
Pour and score, baby.
I love it. And this next question, the answer is actually my all-time favorite Hawk of all time. Who won the 1986 Slam Dunk Championship?
Spud Webb, baby.
And for that answer right there, Adam, good sir, I will kill my whole drink on you because he is my favorite. Anyone that's short.
Hey, wait, how about
favorite
you
player.
guys do a nice cheers and chug to opposing teams being friends?
Hey, and listen, I was gonna say, talking about the Garden and stuff like that. I got no quarrel with New York fans. They're good fans, they're passionate, they're sensible people. You can have it interplay. We can do this. We can make friends. We can form connections. That's what it's all about. But
we are way more honorable and like good people than Boston for sure.
Or
Philly.
I was gonna say what I was gonna say is Philadelphia sports fans are
They're
the
terrible
worst
people.
scum of the earth that has ever seen God's blue planet, and we will eviscerate them, and I will drink their tears like the manna from the sun. That's all I have to say. Yeah, Philly fans. No, I can't. I got nothing to say to Philly fans. They're subhuman. Let's just say. I mean, there's too much cheesesteaks in the cells of their body. It's gone to their brain. They boo Santa Claus. Come on, get out of here.
They booed Meek Mill, and Meek Mill is from there. If you're not going to cheer your own people, then who are you going to cheer for?
Yeah, for real. They don't deserve happiness. I just fully believe it. So,
Do you
I
think
got no
there's
problem with Knicks fans.
Do you think there's any place worse named than the city of brotherly love?
Well,
the
there's
most
yeah.
terrible name.
Well, it's certainly not on brand. It's certainly not apropos in any way. If you've ever actually gone to Philly and experienced Philadelphians, they don't carry that brand with any sort of pride.
I got a story I got to tell you guys about Philly. I went to Philly for the first time, right?
How long ago?
Me and a couple friends. This was like right before COVID went crazy, where like you couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
Me and a couple friends, we go over to a bar. What was it? The Happy Birthday bar. I don't know if you've ever been. You can smoke inside. That's how trashy it is.
Straight out of 1997.
I mean, I loved it personally, but it's trash. Everyone knows that's trash.
Oh wait, that's right. You're an Eagles fan.
Oh, you're not supposed to tell my fans. You just exposed me. We're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it. No, we're gonna leave it.
Well, I just realized I put my foot in my mouth because
no, it's fine. They know now.
Philadelphia
they know now. Thank God we're not a football podcast.
Sorry,
anyway,
I blew your cover.
It's all good, Adam. It's fine. It would have came out when the season started, no matter what. So we go to the Happy Birthday bar, and just like a couple New Yorkers trying to get in with Philadelphians, we're like, yo, let us buy you a drink. He comes, we're asking the questions about Philadelphia. He's like, don't worry, I'm with you guys all night. And to us, we're like, oh, awesome, this guy's just going to be our tour guide. We didn't know he was going to be with us all night. This guy slept at our Airbnb.
Oh.
To our knowledge, I think that we got a homeless man drunk all night, and he slept at our Airbnb. And mind you, 2 days straight. We stayed for 3 days. He stayed for 2 nights.
You should have just lied to him and said you left.
That's right. Oh, hey, man, we're heading out in about an hour, so we should probably...
But that's kind of the stuff I love about Philly. I personally like Philly.
That's real brotherly love. You guys actually showed brotherly love. I think that's remarkable, honestly.
It's solely because you weren't from Philadelphia, then, that you showed brotherly love.
Yeah, I guarantee you anybody from Philadelphia would be like, no.
They all knew that dude was homeless.
That's right.
Boys, give us your cheers and chug, boys. Let's get it.
All right, Adam, here we go, man. Yeah. The Spud Webb and the Hawks somehow beating the Sixers. Great meeting you as well.
Yeah, boys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Asinine assassin himself.
New Amsterdam mango. It's not that good.
Send cases. Well, there goes your ad deal.
I'll cut that part out. Whatever. Adam, before we go, man, anything you want to plug? I know you plugged your girlfriend's Instagram before. Anything else, though?
Yeah, if you want to check out my old Instagram there, it's I believe in Adam Bailey. I've got a Facebook page by the same name that I never update. So yeah, Instagram's kind of where you can find me. I believe in Adam Bailey. I got a photo page, Adam Bailey Photo, if you want to see images that I take from time to time. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. I mean, I wish I had a show to plug that we had coming up, but that's going to be some time because usually our shows are right inside of Gleason. So it's going to take some time for things to open up, to do shows within a gym. That's a whole lot.
We will definitely be there when you do, though.
For sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'd love to have you guys out, man. That would be great.
And all Knicks stuff. We're going to make sure you know who we are.
I have it no other way. Listen, I'll be in my Trae Young jersey. So I'll throw it to you.
Do you wrestle in the Trae Young jersey?
No.
But
I do have like a satin, like Hawks, like old school, like jacket that I've worn to the ring on a few occasions.
Very cool. I'm actually I've never been to a live wrestling thing. It'd be awesome to go to one and know a guy wrestling. That's like
absolutely, yeah. Live wrestling event. I don't care if you've never watched wrestling a day in your life, or you're from the most upper of the Upper East Side. If you come to a wrestling show, you get into it. It's impossible not to. Like you get it, whether you've watched it all your life or you've never cared for it, what have you. The best way to do it is to come to a show, and especially shows like ours. You're right against the ring. I mean, you hear everything, you feel everything. So, and we love the interplay. We love everybody to come be rowdy, get up out of their chairs, yell at us.
Yeah.
And yeah, what other event can you do that? Can you just, I don't like this guy, so I'm gonna let him know.
Besides Knicks versus Hawks.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. face.
Ben, I went to or Adam too. I want to tell you as well. Obviously, I went to the WrestleMania a couple years ago. That was in New York, the one that was at
Oh,
MetLife.
cool.
And then I also went to NXT Takeover in Bridgeport, Connecticut, in like the June afterwards. And the Johnny Gargano Adam Cole match I watched is the best match I've ever seen in my whole life. That
Oh, so you're
was
giving Joe a
fantastic.
little chub over there with this wrestling thing. I
Yeah.
didn't know that Joe had an affinity for wrestling.
Yeah,
I like
just
it.
don't
I
tell my
like
friends
it.
really.
Well, listen, you can tell all your friends about the Asinine Assassin. It'll only get you over.
Let's
It'll
go.
women will flock and men will seek to only want to buy you all of the drinks and expensive dinners. So it's only a good thing. I can guarantee.
If I can make them all feel asinine themselves to buy me stuff, then I am pulling a trick that I want to pull.
That's right. That's right. That's the way to do it.
Adam, thank you
just
so
have
much,
to-
man.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys.
Much
Appreciate it, man.
Much appreciated. Everyone make sure to like, subscribe, and share the Big Nick Energy podcast and all of our audio and video content on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Follow and like our Instagram page, Big Nick Energy 2_ on Instagram, Big Nick Energy 1_ on Twitter. We are selling these awesome BKE hats. Check these babies out. Look, it does a 360 on my bald, curvy head. It's a magic trick right there. It's wild. BigNickEnergy.com to buy one of these dad hats. Also, everyone remember, check out our sponsor, Empire Original Designs, at jointheempire.com, the East Coast #1 challenge coin manufacturer, the home of challenge coins, lapels, pins, patches, keychains, bottle openers, and more. Mention our podcast, Big Nick Energy, via email for 5% off purchases. Once again, that's jointheempire.com. Adam, once again, it was a great pleasure. Any final last words?
Go Hawks, baby.